Okay, day 5. Day 5 is done. What happened? It's in the books. I'm going to let you know everything that I did today and what's the plan moving forward. So to start things off on day 5, I actually ended up getting really good sleep last night. I ended up not going to the gym. I decided to take more rest, eat earlier, and get better quality sleep. I slept really well. I was able to come back up, go to the office, and I was able to actually do scripts very well. I actually was able to do almost 2.5 hours worth of script practice, quality script practice that day. It was, of course, the same scripts I've been doing before, so open house scripts, specifically greetings and buyer objections, and also the question of what does the market look like right now. Those were the things I worked on in the first 2.5 hours of my day. I also did my due diligence on the last open house I'm hosting on Sunday. So I was able to get all the due diligence I had done. I was able to look at MLS records, tax records, and all that stuff for that home. So I got a lot of stuff done this morning. And then, of course, I had my lunch break. And then, of course, on top of that, I had my second part of my day, which the second part of my day, I ended up actually implementing a lead follow-up system for the first time. So interestingly enough, I never really had a proper lead follow-up system that I followed through. It was always just sort of like I'll figure it out when I get there. And then every time I hosted open houses before in the past, I would kind of just not take much action really at all. I would send them a text just saying like, hey, thank you for stopping by, and that's it. That's the last open house text I would ever send them for lead follow-up. Unfortunately, with that, I would never get a message back, which makes sense, like I'm not really following up like a pro. I'm not speaking like a pro at the open houses. I'm working on that now, however. And it was a really good way for me to be able to actually create a system, because I think I remember on my day 1 of starting my business, I was really heavily emphasizing the importance of building systems, specifically things that I can follow to be consistent on every day. I got like this bad, you can't really see it, cut on my finger. It just kind of stings a little bit, but it is what it is. But that was the biggest part of my day, was developing my first lead follow-up system. On top of that, I was also able to end up finding a role play partner, which was awesome. So her and I will be meeting around 9 o'clock tomorrow. So I'll be practicing scripts for an hour until she stops by, and we'll practice for about half an hour. Just a really quick, easy practice for us to use as far as open house scripts goes. I know that she's having one hosted soon, so should be good there, should be good to go. I have been catching myself in a little bit of a situation. So this is when the second aspect of lead generation is going to be very important to me, because this day, amongst most of the other days I've had this week, I've had a lot of time where I didn't really have much else to do in my mind. There's always something to do in business. You're always finding some things to fix. But I had certain parts of my day time blocked, and this day in particular, outside of my scripts, I really seem to have more than enough time to get that work done. And so it left me with a ton of different time. For example, I was going to spend a whole hour looking up dialer options and stuff like that, but it really only would take me about 10 minutes. So I've been trying to learn how to time block more properly, because that's also been an issue. It's just kind of figuring out how much time I need to spend to certain things, which I'm very glad to say that open house scripts are the main priority I have. That absolutely got to get done every day. That is a non-negotiable. So I'm glad I'm able to get that out of the way. But what I'm looking into now is that time that I was using for finding open houses, for developing systems, which I'm still doing to this day, but getting more into detail on that. I need to find a second lead gen strategy, which it will be cold calling. I am going to get a dialer. I'm going to figure everything out there, pound the phone. I do have a protocol I'm doing with that tomorrow, so kind of a little bit of a spoiler of what I'm doing tomorrow. So that is going to be the goal. I will have a dialer ready. I'll have numbers. I'll start punching up numbers for FSBOs and expired, circle prospecting. Going to have that strategy put in place. Going to find the scripts for those. So this coming week, I anticipate it to be even more busy and more work than what I'm doing this week. So to start things off there, that's the plan moving forward. I will be spending time on open houses, but I'll end up time blocking more in a sense of prospecting and lead follow-up rather than open house this and cold calling that. It's going to be more so one consistent thing. So in the morning, scripts, entirely scripts, both open houses, both cold calling, whichever one is more applicable during the time. I'll do both of them, or I'll even time block them throughout the day. So I might do one later in the day, I might do one earlier in the day. Other than that, though, those are going to be the most important things I do every day because that's how I speak as an expert. So that's the most important part. On top of that, then I can actually start doing studying the MLS, studying the market updates. I do a market update every Monday, so that's going to be a thing as well next Monday. And then also doing the actual tasks. So hosting the open houses on weekend, following up with them, going through my lead follow-up system through Command, which is my CRM. And then same thing with the cold calling, which the video, which I really want to talk about, the video that I made yesterday, I was not really in a great mood, as you could have told. I was not really feeling too well. I was feeling a little bit discouraged. And during the time when I was rehearsing my scripts, I always seem to be very focused in the morning, more so than I am during the afternoon period, probably because I'm not on my phone at all until around 10 or 11 a.m. But during that time, I was saying, I've been feeling very discouraged because I've had expert agents say, I've been having more people come by, more buyers come by who are already represented by agents, and they don't really want to be bugged by an agent in an open house. I'll even bring in my business card. So people like you, she wasn't saying people like me, but it felt personal. But it was like people like you, who are like trying to make a living, don't end up doing that in the sense of finding a business. That mindset I have is very, very victim broke mentality. And I wish I would have corrected myself in the previous video. Because yes, although it's true that more agents are going to be representing buyers when they go to open houses, that doesn't mean that they don't exist. Okay? Something I got told in my leasing job, something that Mary and something that Tim told me, two of the people I worked closest with in my leasing job told me, I often take things too personal, probably because I take things close to my chest, and words that I have are weighted, and I'm a sensitive person just in general. My whole life had been that way. So what she was saying during that mentorship was not personal. I know that for a fact. But let's even say it was personal or it wasn't. It doesn't matter. When they say more agents are representing buyers in open houses, cool. My mindset should be, if it's working for them and they love their agent and they're doing everything they can to help them, that's perfect. You want that for them because you care about their needs. If they have an agent that they're happy with, absolutely wonderful. You, as in me right now as a subject, your responsibility is to find the people that either aren't satisfied with the agent they have now or they're not represented. I'm looking for those people. I'm looking for a specific person. Yes, Liz in the land of no. This has been a fact with cold calling. It's the same thing with open houses. You got to get through the people that, of course, aren't going to want to work with you because they already have an agent, and it doesn't make sense for us to work together. That's perfectly fine. Find the people that make sense working with you. Then I get told, oh, you don't want to be picky. You don't want to be picky this and you got to please everybody and all this stuff. And it's just, you don't get anywhere when you're an expert at everything. It's impossible. That would make you a jack of all trades. That would make you just okay at everything because you wouldn't take the time in to really focus on one specific person or one specific niche. So the niche that I have right now is I'm helping people who are looking to move to Westfield, so purposely buyers and sellers with the cold calling listings, FSBOs and expireds, trying to get that stuff figured out, trying to get my campaign in that sense set up, which I'll end up doing tomorrow. I'm still focusing on that. Okay, that's a very important aspect. So there's still things I need to work on. I can do that this weekend. I can do that tomorrow. I can keep working on it after the open house I host on Saturday. Should be fine there. What else? What am I doing tomorrow? What's the goal tomorrow? The goal tomorrow is that I'm going to be doing scripts. I'll be doing my first role play tomorrow for half an hour. So, excuse me. The agent and I that I'll be working with, her and I are going to be role playing for about 30 minutes. It'll be an hour after I've been scripting, so we'll already have warmed up by then. And we'll start talking about what scripts we're using and all that stuff. My biggest fear is I'm kind of hoping she's like a role play partner that's complimentary to what I do. But, I'm a friendly person and she seemed very nice and sweet, so it should be good. And then after that, that's when I'm going to end up working on my open house information and really starting to get that lead follow-up system put in place, specifically the scripts that I will use to send emails, to send updates, to send text messages and calls, all that stuff that I'll end up having posted on there. I'm going to work on that. And I'm actually leaving the office early tomorrow because I am driving back down to my hometown to get a haircut. My barber that I'm working with, I've known her for over 2 years, and I believe she might be moving to Fishers, Indiana, which is very close to Westfield. It's in Hamilton County, so right around where I work, and it could be a potential client, so you never know there. But that's the goal moving forward. Next week's huge. Tomorrow, I really want to make a week reflection of how this week's been and what's the goal moving forward. But I reckon next week's going to be even more work than this week, only because I'm starting to implement a new lead gen strategy, which is cold calling. I finally decided that I want to go ahead and do that. It's a grind. I've been told that you'll have to have at least 100 contacts, 100 calls made before one lead, and that lead may not even be a client. So you're talking potentially maybe 200, 300 calls, 300 calls before you maybe even get one client, and then maybe you guys will get a transaction. So it's straightforward, just like success. Success is always straightforward, but it's not easy. That's why very few people become successful. But I love in this video that I watched, relevant to what I was saying just now, there was this video that I watched of a podcast called Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson and Alex Hormozy. And in the video, Alex Hormozy's like, the harder the task is, the less people are going to do it, or the less amount of people that are going to do it. So if cold calling is this daunting task, and it is, if it's this daunting task that many people struggle with because it takes so much out of you, so much emotional bandwidth, so much rejection, but that means less people are going to do it, which means more for you. And instead of it thinking, oh, this is so hard for me, it's more so like, instead of it being like boohoo me, it's boohoo everyone else who has to try. And I love that mentality. And it's something that I'm going to be implementing while I do these calls. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be difficult. But like I said before, I say this in every single one of my videos. I only fail when I give up. That's just how it is. I only fail if I give up. If I mess up on things, if I make mistakes, if I fail in that sense, you keep going and live to see another day. Life goes on. Got to keep moving. What other choice do I have? I'm just a guy in an apartment by myself. I keep mentioning this every day because it's so important. I got to go back to where I started. So let's wrap everything out. Let's make everything as organized as possible, okay? Because I felt like I said a bunch of random crap here. So the plan tomorrow, role play partner, scripts. Working on my lead follow-up templates, scripts again. Leaving work early, going to get my haircut, coming back, setting up my open house signs, and getting the open houses ready tomorrow. That's my goal this weekend. What's next week? Next week is Ignite training. So I am going to be away from lead generation for about a week. I'm going to be consistent with the stuff I do. So I'm just going to have to fit it in somehow, even if it does end up having to be, an inadequate times. I'm going to have to figure it out somehow. So that's the plan. Lead gen strategies, cold calling will be implemented on Monday. I do have Ignite, but you got to fit it in somehow. If there's a will, there's a way. I'm an entrepreneur, and your goal is to figure it out, even if you don't know the answer to it. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but I'm glad we were able to get it done. It's close to, believe it's 10:35 a.m. Yeah, so or 10:35 p.m. So it's definitely later than it was yesterday, but I feel much better, and hopefully you'll see me with better hair tomorrow. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on Friday. So sleep well. Have a great night.